to go.
Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests. This meeting of online presenters has now begun. Guests, please note that in order to be a member of our club, you must be a current or a former member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 speeches from either the traditional or pathways programs, or you must have substantial relevant presentation experience that you demonstrate in 3 to 5 minutes speech delivered during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to board approval. If you have not already done so, please change your panel to ensure it shows your name and role if you have one. Right-click to do so and select Rename. We have members and often guests from many countries throughout the world. Thus, other professional organizations, we ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we will be recording this meeting. Your video, audio contributions may be used for our club marketing purposes. Please mute your microphone when you are not speaking. Also, please avoid using chat during speakers' presentations. Today's theme is African heritage and health. Please welcome our club president, DTM, Mr. Nick Lahani.
Thank you very much, Andre. Welcome to the 1st of February. Welcome to the first meeting of February at Online Presenters. And it gives me great pleasure to declare that today we're going to have some fun. We're going to have some great speeches. A couple of things that I need to tell you before we start. First of all, make sure you get your renewals in. The link is in the chat. And also, we're going to have lots of other meetings or special meetings taking place on a Monday night. And I really want you to have a look at the website and look and see what's coming up over the next 3 or 4 weeks. Will you do that for me? When? Obviously, after the meeting. Now, in terms of this particular meeting, it gives me great pleasure to welcome our Toastmaster of the night. Please give a very warm welcome for our member from Philadelphia, from Pennsylvania. Give it up for Sarah Gao.
Thank you very much, Nick. Now, I would like to start by asking a question. Do you know what special day is February the 1st? Besides being the first day of the Black History Month, it is actually the International Day of Black Women in the Arts. So when I looked that up, I thought that can be a wonderful theme for our meeting today to celebrate Black women in arts. As you can see in my background, I chose, this is a sculpture called The Brick House. It's a sculpture that's featuring Black women and was just installed at the entrance of University of Pennsylvania here at Philadelphia, where I live. If you want to throughout the meeting, feel free to put a virtual background that's featuring some of your favorite Black women in the arts. And that's our way of celebrating this special day and this special month. As Toastmaster for today's meeting, it is also my pleasure to choose the word of the day. So the word I choose is audacious. That means adventurous, recklessly bold. Example of it will be his idea is equal parts ambitious and audacious. So I encourage everyone to use this word in your speech today. I also entered it in chat. Now, let's start by introducing all the supporting roles for this meeting today. It is my great pleasure to welcome Timer Graham to tell us a bit more about the role of Timer for tonight.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Toastmasters guests, we work to time in a Toastmasters meeting, and at the green light, that will indicate that each speaker has reached the minimum in their allotted time. Yellow means they should be shutting up. Red means they have in fact exceeded their allotted time, and if they go more than 30 seconds beyond that, they will not be eligible for the Best Speaker or Evaluator Award. And that's the close. And I do apologise about my phone then.
Sounds
Who else
very
would have
cheerful. Thank you so much, Graham. Next up, let's welcome Antoinette to introduce the role of our counter tonight.
Good evening, Toastmaster of the day and my fellow Toastmasters. I will be taking care of the filler words tonight, like oohs, ahs, unusually long pauses. And when called to do a report, I will then do so. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Antoinette. Next is our grammarian, Lisen.
Hello, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome to guests. As a grammarian, let me start as like this. It's audacious of me to serve as a grammarian. I know it's an important role for some of you. It's a piece of cake, but for me, I think it really requires some audacity. So my job is to first listen to the usage of the word of the day, audacious, and also I will pay attention to the usage of the language. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Lisen. You not only did a very good introduction of the role, but showed us by example how to be audacious. That's a great example you're demonstrating. Next up, I would like to invite virtual watcher for today's meeting, Jeanette.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters and guests. My role tonight is to watch everybody on the screen, to watch if everything is okay, if there's anything bad or good. And at the end, I will give you my report. So back to you, Mrs. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Jeanette. Next up, I would like to welcome our chat monitor today, Raymond. Welcome, Raymond.
Madam Toastmaster, my name is Mafizur Rahman, and I have the privilege to be your chat monitor. Chat is on fire with the 2 birthdays. So again, as the Senator mentioned, if you could refrain when the speakers are speaking, just refrain it. And also, I would like the chat to be on fire as soon as the speeches are over. So with that note, I will have a report for you, Madam Toastmaster. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Roman. And our vote counter for today's meeting is Deborah Carr.
Hi, everyone. Well, vote counting is, well, your vote, that's kind of self-explanatory. Anyway, you can just send them all to me, and we will be evaluating naturally the speakers, the evaluators, and the table topics speakers. So just find me in the little line there and send your votes to me.
Thank you very much, Deborah. Well, with no further ado, we are going to introduce the first speaker for tonight. Our first speaker for tonight is Pamela Benjamin. Pamela was a financial analyst at PwC. She is also very passionate about communications. In the recent finished virtual Toastmaster conference, she was serving as the talent lead. She is currently preparing for a half Ironman races and also a 13.1 running races in her free time. And today, Pamela is going to give us a speech as part of the Visionary Communication Level 4. And the speech is about create a podcast. Welcome, Pamela. The floor is yours. You need to unmute.
Guests, friends, and members of online presenters. I joined Toastmasters because I wanted to stop being as quiet as I was. I started developing an online presence because I also wanted to be not as quiet as I had been. I also was working on a triathlon, and I trained by myself because my hours in the evening, I'm no longer with PricewaterhouseCoopers, I'm a private tutor. My hours are in the evening, and I work when most everyone is at home, and when everyone's at work, I am outside training. So I train by myself, and I've looked for a team to be a part of for a long time. Well, I found a team, and this is my journey about what that team's about. My job for this team, Team Blue Line, is to create a social media presence and to help raise money. Here is where I am on my journey. And this is my project, Building Your Social Media Presence, Telling My Story. So I did what every good Toastmaster does when they have something they're not sure how to do, what to say, or how to make it happen. I went to YouTube, and Jeff Friedman from TEDx says to focus on your core values. Your core values. Don't just tell everybody what you're going to do because you sound like everyone else, but focus on what your why is, what you want to do, and why you want to do it, because that will make you unique. People will remember you when you're unique. So my why. What is my why? It's a big, audacious goal, a massive, audacious goal. Like I said, I started working on triathlon about 5 years ago when my son went to college. Part of that is I wanted to be part of a race team. I wanted to be part of a race team that did something and gave something back. I chose Team Blue Line. This is what they do. They support law enforcement officers, primarily officers who've been shot and gone through a lot of stress. We had the chief of police at a Toastmaster meeting, and he explained a lot of the different things they go through. And I was really drawn to being a lot more civic-minded about being a good citizen and being a Toastmaster and using some of my PR skills or in public speaking skills that I've acquired in this way. And I thought this would really mesh together, my Toastmaster and Team Blue Line and my triathlon. So why do I race? I race because I want to make a difference. If you're doing a really long race, probably a 6 to 8 hour race, you want a good why. You want to keep going. And if you're running and you're racing for something that you really value and it's going to make a difference, it helps. This is something that I really, really care about. PSD, they're supplying hero dogs for some officers who've had PSD. This is one of the officers that is using that right now, and that really inspired me. So that's one of the reasons why I want to do that. I want to make a big difference, and I want to help other people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pamela. And next up, our second speaker today is Kevin Dosey. So Kevin is the president of Dosey Management Services, and he has trained more than 100,000 people from various countries and cultures from around the world. To produce measurable results, Kevin inspires the audience to acquire new skills and change their behavior. Tonight, Kevin is also bringing us a level 4 pathway speech. It is from Effective Coaching Pathway. And the title of his speech is The Fisherman. The theme of this project is improvement through positive coaching. Welcome, Calvin.
If you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man how to fish, he can feed himself for a lifetime. Madam Toastmaster, online presenters, Toastmasters, and guests. The origin of that adage is debated frequently. Some people feel it's a Chinese proverb. Other people feel it's the Italians. And then others think that it's a saying from the Bible. What's not debated is how effective it is in helping people become self-sufficient. It certainly works for me because I develop fishermen. That's what I do. Tonight, I'd like to share a simple formula. You might feel it's somewhat audacious, yet it works. I'll begin by saying that when I coach, I'm guided by the core values of Toastmasters. And what are they? Integrity, respect, service, and excellence. That's what I bring to the table. And I enjoy coaching others. A good formula is to use a purpose, process, and payoff statement. You meet with your protege, whom you're coaching, and what you do is you build trust and rapport. That's very important. Dale Carnegie, who wrote the book How to Win Friends and Influence People, shared that people like to talk about themselves. And one of the best ways to build trust and rapport is to listen. Encourage people to speak, and then you listen. That's very important. Prove that you're listening by asking questions and nodding and smiling, because smiling makes them happy when the endorphins are released from the brain. And that's great. Depending on your style, you can have a get to know you meeting, or in my case, I get to business right away. After I build trust and rapport, it takes about 10 or 15 minutes for me to do that, and then I get to business. I talk about the purpose of our getting together. I'll ask them, what do you want to work on? They'll tell us what they want to work on. Keep in mind that what they say they want to do and want to learn and get better at may not actually be what they need. It's just that you start with them from where they are in an effort to get them where you want to take them. The process consists of asking them to speak. Just say, get up, make a speech. And you listen. Now, what kind of speech was that? Was it an inspirational speech? Was it an informational speech? Was it designed to engage humor? What was the speech supposed to do for the audience? You watch them, give them feedback, and then you look at the particulars. You set up a meeting schedule, you stick to that schedule, and you focus on each element. The elements consist of, let me look at your opening. Let me look at the body of your speech. What about your close? You can go over various techniques, such as, why don't you begin writing your close and then work backwards? Or you can begin right with an open, set the stage, fill in your body, and then have a powerful close. The key is, it's very important I mean, extremely important to understand what your protege is trying to accomplish. That's very important. Once you critique them and listen to them, they make speeches, you work with them on their body language, you work with them on their pauses, their vocal variety. You work with them on all of these measures because it's important for them to understand what are the ingredients of a successful speech. If they tell you that they want to improve in storytelling, that's important because in terms of storytelling, you can talk to them about what Prez Vasilev has told us. Prez Vasilev says, if you're going to tell a story, think of goals. The G stands for goals. The O stands for obstacle. The A stands for adventure. The L stands for a lesson. And the S stands for success. Those are the elements of storytelling. As a coach, you provide references and resources. Prez Vasilev, the 2013 world champion of public speaking, is an excellent resource that you can share. The point is, when you're working in the coaching environment, it's important to work on skill development. After you've built your trust and rapport, then you talk about the process. Finally, the payoff. In your first meeting, let them know that the payoff is that they'll get better as a speaker. When they get better as a speaker, it makes you feel good because you're a fisherman. You develop fishermen as well. And that's very important. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Our third speaker today is Adrian Smolenko. We've already know Adrian is very humorous. He normally brings a lot of humor into his speech. His professional role is actually to help company directors and consumers to resolve their diet problems. So today, his speech, bring us a special speech. It's from Innovative Planning Pathway. It is a level 1 speech on researching and presenting. And if you ever wondered how to build a digital community can help you create more value, test your ideas, and bring more paying clients to your business, this is a speech you do not want to miss. Welcome, Adrian. Community Power.
Madam Toastmaster of the evening, fellow members and most welcome guests. Well, my speech today is about digital communities, Facebook groups. I'm going to tell you about what those digital communities really are. Stay with me, and I will share with you some practical experts' advice and entertain you with my personal experience on running Facebook groups. In conclusion, I will make a point that if you haven't got your own Facebook group, you got to go and create one today. Well, let's start by looking at what really Facebook groups are. In my understanding, Facebook groups are just digital communities. Those are places for people who can express their love to you or to your business. In those digital communities, people can chatter, people can spread their love, or even they can spread their hate as well. You can find haters. Groups on all sorts of subjects, cats, dogs, politics, weather, you name it. I'm sure there is the group for it in there. Well, why start a Facebook group? That's a really, really good question. Perhaps you could start a Facebook group just for a conversation about Anything you like, your girlfriend, what you had for breakfast is there. Interestingly, that groups on Facebook can be public, where everybody on Facebook and out of Facebook can see your post and content. Private, where only members could see what's going on in a group. Or secret, very VIP, where nobody knows about that group at all. Well, the thing is, to create a Facebook group, what you need to do is just go and do it. It's free to set up, and it takes about between 10 to 20 minutes to set up a group. However, it may take years to build a flourishing community on Facebook. Well, I just wonder, are those Facebook groups that popular? Well, let's have a look at some statistics. According to the Facebook itself, over 10 million active communities on Facebook already exist. Over 70 million admins and moderators involved in building those groups and communities. And over 1.8 billion people use Facebook groups every month. In my view, those statistics just tell for themselves. Quite audacious, don't you think so? Well, statistics there, we know what they are. Let's think about experts. What do experts think about Facebook groups? One of the experts that I like, his name is Carlos Gil, an award-winning digital expert and the writer of the book, The End of Marketing. By the way, you can get that book just under $8 on Amazon, invaluable read. So the experts suggest that one of the main reasons that we really like Facebooks is that they seem to be the last frontier on Facebook for organizations and just to create organic news in the news feeds. In other words, is free advertising. That's right, free advertising. It's not that much advertising left on Facebook. At the same time, Carlos suggests that when you do the group, you need to strike a delicate balance between the content that your members like and your personal business needs. Many entrepreneurs make that mistake, trying to capitalize on their services straight away creating a group. Well, I am an entrepreneur, and I really want to capitalize on my services. I run my own debt counseling business based in Manchester, UK. I help consumers and small businesses to get out of debt and resolve their debt problems. I also like Facebook, like a chat, and I do like help people. This is why I've created 8 Facebook groups in the last 3 years. I'm going to share some of them with you. Welcome, a baby of my collection is Facebook group Dads of London. It's just 3 months old with 175 members in the group. Surprisingly, half of the members are ladies, moms. We share parenting tips. We talk about parenting joys in life, kids and babies. Also, we advertise services to each other free of charge. Let me introduce the jewel to my collection, the oldest baby, 3 years old group UK Ukraine, 3.4 thousand members in the group. I'm Ukrainian, live in the United Kingdom, so I just put those things together. We talk about culture, Ukrainian, UK, and then we advertise services to each other as well. I understand that my groups, they're not that huge comparing to the Black Coalition group. It's the biggest Facebook group in the United States of 1.8 million members. But I truly believe my few thousand members receive value and it makes huge difference to them. Well, what I do in the groups, I post, comment, do Facebook Lives, live broadcasts on a regular basis to promote my business services. I also get help from a few people, dedicated ambassadors who helping me to moderate and admin the group. This is what I do. And 35% of my new business inquiries come from my work on Facebook groups. So as you can see, fellow Toastmasters, it really works for me. If that works for me, it can always work for you. By creating a Facebook group, you can share your valuable experience. You can make difference in people's life, test your ideas, and bring clients to your business. Go and create one today. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you very much. That's a wonderful speech. Now I would like to invite our timer to give us a timer report. And is all the 3 speakers qualified for voting, Graham?
There's an interesting question, Madam Toastmaster. I'm going to make an executive decision and say yes, all 3 speakers are qualified. It appears that, in fact, our first speaker, rather than giving the speech that I was timing her on, which is the presenter podcast, was doing the social media presence, which is a different speech, in which case her speech at 4 minutes exactly was perfectly timed. The other 2 speakers we had were Calvin spoke for 6 minutes and 46 seconds and Andre for 7 minutes and 29.63 seconds. Andre, that is getting remarkably close. So all 3 eligible to be voted upon.
Thank you so much, Graham, for that very thorough research and report. So please, everyone, send your vote for the best speaker today to our vote counter. Next, I would like to invite our table topics master, Sarah, to conduct the table topics part of today's meeting.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good evening, everyone here on the line tonight. Toastmasters has a part of each meeting where we have impromptu speaking. This is an opportunity where we can speak off the top of our heads. We get to build our listening, our thinking, our organizing, as well as our speaking skills. We're going to try to be on topic with the theme for today, which is African heritage and health. And the speakers will have 2 minutes to speak, 1 to 2 minutes to speak. I also encourage everyone to use the word of the day, audacious, if you want to. We're starting out number 1, Elaine. Thinking of African heritage, also this week is the African Heritage and Health Week as well. And part of the African heritage diet, it puts greens and vegetables at the bottom of the pyramid, and then it puts meats and desserts at the top of the pyramid as what you should eat on a less regular basis. In your opinion, Elaine, what makes a healthy, balanced diet? And do you think that you eat a balanced diet? Elaine Nieberding.
I do eat a healthy, balanced diet. It was about 6 months ago, I decided it was time for me to make a serious, even audacious commitment to shed some pounds that had been creeping up over the years. And I had an additional motivator with my brother's wedding coming up next month. And I thought maybe I'll hit the target of trying to lose 30 pounds. I chose to use the Noom app. And with the Noom app, you can basically create any kind of diet you want. And I thought, what will be the best change for me is to cut out refined sugar and just add a lot more fresh fruits and vegetables to my diet. Much to my delight and surprise, cutting out the sugar made it easy for me to make the other changes. And so now, 5 months after starting this diet, I've lost 26 pounds, and it's even given me the courage to let my hair go gray. I don't think I'll need to make any dietary changes to keep on being happy and healthy and might even lose 5 more pounds before the wedding in March.
Thank you, Elaine. Guinea seeds are on the list also when you look at the African heritage diet. They were brought on board slave ships from West Africa, and they were later grown by the slaves in their gardens in America. If you no longer lived in your country, or if someday you may not live in your country, what foods would you like to have in the new country that reminds you of your home country? Surya Bangala.
Madam Table Topics Master, could you please repeat the question for me?
If you no longer live in your home country, or if you were to leave your home country, what food would you want to bring or have or be able to find in the new country?
Wow. Good evening, Madam Table Topics Master, OP presenters, and guests. We migrated from India back in, I would say, 38 years ago. In 2 years, it would be 40 years I have spent in the United States. In many ways, I consider it my home away from home. We had our kids here. It was the first place I voted as a citizen after becoming a citizen, and all my formative habits, adulthood, and culinary experiences and cooking has occurred in this country. As we all know, growing up, we are all spoiled by moms and their wonderful cooking. And so when we landed in the Midwest, Indiana, Indianapolis, there was the closest Indian store to cook Indian food with Indian vegetables was 4 hours away in Chicago. However, what we did find was it was easy to cook potatoes like hash browns with a few Indian spices, with cumin and cinnamon and a little bit of extra hot pepper to make it taste like Indian cooking. Similarly, we quickly adapted the local vegetables like cauliflower and cabbage, and I started to experiment with a little bit of coriander here and a pinch of salt, a pinch of Indian spices that I was able to grind and roast at home. I quickly adapted to my new home country and new cooking in my kitchen and enjoy the tastes of what I grew up with. So that is what I would cook. Not specific dish, but a conglomeration of audacious dishes.
Thank you, Surya. We appreciate that. Rolex, Nick Langhani. Rolex is a popular Ugandan breakfast food. It combines eggs and vegetables wrapped in a flat bread. It was ranked as a must-eat African delicacy by CNN in 2016. My question is, what type of African food have you tried? And what was your favorite? And if you haven't tried any, what have you heard about that you think you might like to try?
Well, thank you, Madam Table Topic Master. Would you believe that I was actually born in Uganda and I spent my first 6 years there? I don't remember food that you actually mentioned because obviously being in an Indian family, we had Indian food most of the time in the house. But we also had a lot of the African food as well. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't remember so much. The one thing that I really liked which what we call cassava or mogo. And it's like a root vegetable. And you can do various things with it. You can cook it, you can boil it, you can boil it and then fry it. You can do a number of different things with it, or even just steam it as well. And that to this day, if, for example, you make it like my mother did, I would stop anything. I would run across a 27-lane highway to go and try some and have some. Unfortunately, my wife doesn't cook that. we can get it, and there are places where we can go to have restaurants and stuff, but my wife doesn't cook that, and that's okay because I'm sure it's full of carbs and so on. But that's the one thing I remember from my childhood. That's the one thing that we would have at school at lunchtime, and that's the one thing right now, if I shut my eyes, yeah, I think that smells really nice. Back to you, Madam Topic Master.
Thank you. Andy Byrne. Heritage is defined as something such as culture that is acquired from or passed down from a predecessor. This includes like arts and crafts, folklore, religion, food, music. What cultural heritage would you like to pass on to generations following you? What cultural heritage would you like to pass on?
Thank you very much, Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and dignitaries. That's an easy question for me. I'm Jewish, and we're about ready to enter Passover. Passover celebrates when we became free from slavery in Egypt, and we talk about the story through what organized process known as the Seder, and we talk about all the surrounding elements of that time. We learned how we were brought out from Egypt by God, and we go through all of the different stories. We learn about the different heritages, and in most Jewish holidays, it's the story of they came, they tried to kill us, we survived, let's eat. And in that context of let's eat, we talk about a lot of different foods. The typical Passover meal start usually with gefilte fish, and it then follows with a soup or salad. Then you have chicken or brisket with vegetables and lots of wine, because wine is part of the ceremony. In fact, you have to have 4 cups of wine as you're going through the ceremony. Food in the Jewish religion is almost a religion, because every time there's a holiday, there are special foods to eat. Every Friday night before the Shabbos, we celebrate with wine and with challah, a special kind of a bread. I'm very particular about all the foods that I've learned from my heritage and passed down to me and passed down by others.
Thank you, Andy. And our last question tonight is in line with the Madam Toastmaster's thought on heritage of African American women. Amanda Gorman read a speech entitled "The Hill We Climb" at Biden's inauguration. One part of the verse says, "Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true, that even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, even as we tired, we tried, that we'll forever be tied together victoriously." Jim Barber, how would you use the essence of those words to mentor a young person of African descent who lives in America?
Madam Topics Master, my fellow Toastmasters, I think those are wonderful words to guide any child. It doesn't matter whether they come from Africa, although that it's special if they do come from Africa. But frankly, I think any child would benefit from understanding those words. I especially like, even though we were tired, we tried. That's so, it's true, but I also like I have OCD, and so I look at the little things, and I like the way that she respelled tired, T-I-R-E-D, into tried, T-R-I-E-D. That was just so nicely done. So the concept was great, the idea is great, but the way that she formed the words was also pure art. It is something that I think any child, and frankly, for that matter, any adult with an open mind can grow and appreciate. And I would wonder, I think it's a wonderful idea to pass that along to everyone who is willing to listen. And I'm so glad that she got the stage at Biden's inauguration. I hope a lot of people heard it, and I hope a lot more people will hear it through the coming years. Madam Topics Master.
Thank you, Jim Barber. At this time, I would like to ask the timer if all of our speakers met the time requirement. Okay, looks like it did. So
Yes,
please, thank you. So please vote for the best table topics speaker and send your votes privately to the vote counter.
Sarah, I'm sorry.
Yes.
You still have a couple of minutes, don't you? You can still do a couple more.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
One thing that I would just like to ask, we have heard a lot in recent times that make us see the differences in our culture and difference in our races. What would you say would be some of the few things or the many things that we have in common that maybe sometimes we don't focus on? Christian, if he's available.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. Here I'm going to hate my president because he encouraged you to ask one more question. So the question is, what are the things that
have in common that we don't focus on when we focus on our differences?
I would say I will want to improve, to become better. If you look around, we're all Toastmasters coming from different countries. Some of us are early morning, some of us are late evening, some of us haven't had dinner, some of us may have just had a plate of food. So our attitude, our confidence, our want to improve, that's the commonality. I'm looking at the situation of politics, of government, not in the US, but in my own country. And I think it's the same around the world where people are no longer happy just to be sheep and to go along. We won't change, but then change takes a lot of things, a lot of elements. But if you have that want to improve, you don't need to have, or you don't need to wait on your country leaders to improve. You can do that by yourself. You, especially if you're a parent, if you're a leader in your community, in your corporate environment, if you choose to improve by yourself, you can create a movement, create a Facebook group right now and see what happens and just get people engaged. That's what matters. And I think we do that very well, not only in this group, but in Toastmasters throughout the world. And it's something I believe we should leverage on. So my invitation to you is, if you choose to have a Facebook group or another type of social media presence where you can leverage service to others, excellence, and lead by example, yeah, go for it by all means, because this right now is the right time. 2020 was different. Now 2021 is just going to be a whole new ball game, with people losing jobs, with people getting on new jobs and new opportunities. So our skill set, our mindset, this whole thing about improving, that's what we have in common. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Christian. Tonight we talked about a variety of things under the umbrella of African heritage and health. And we talked about various foods. We talked about foods in various countries and various experiences of people. We even talked about a young lady who made a historical moment at a presidential inauguration. I think what we learned most from being a part of Toastmasters, we have a variety of ideas and a variety of experiences. And when we share them and we bring them together, it explodes our minds. And it makes us be so much better persons than we were when we started. So at this time, I would like to say thank you to everyone who participated tonight. And I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Sarah. That is the most heartwarming, inspiring table topics I've ever seen. All your questions are so well thought through. It's just to bring us so much joy to listen to and so much inspirations, especially considering our members are from everywhere in the world. I think food, culture, heritage, and the inspirational quotes, these are really things that connects us together no matter where we are. So thank you so much for putting so much thoughts and design behind the table topics. And I would also ask our timer Greenham to give the time for Christian. Oh, it's already in the chat. Thank you, Ryan, so much more ahead of me. So please, everyone, vote for the best table topic speaker. Send your vote through private chat to our vote counter today. Next up, I would like to hand it over to our general evaluator for today's meeting, Emily. Please take away.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sarah. We are about to begin the third part of our meeting. And in the third part of our meeting, this is the special sauce of Toastmasters, where we are going to have evaluations of the speeches. And this allows people to get better as they work on their presentations. Now, because we're an advanced club, we have really excellent speakers. And so the evaluations are going to seem very detailed, perhaps, if you are a guest. And you're going to see how this rolls next. Our very first evaluator is David Carr, evaluating Pamela Benjamin's speech. Please help me welcome David Carr.
Hey, thank you, General Evaluator. Hi, Pamela. Hey, Pamela, even though I was messaging with you a little bit before you spoke, I still went into this thinking, okay, this is cool that she's setting this up with all this social media context. But when's she going to start talking about the podcast? When she's going to give me something on the podcast? And then all of a sudden the speech was over. Like, oh my gosh, did I miss something? Did I not take enough notes? Well, it turned out when we saw the times, 4 minutes flat. You know, the people who are good at social media, which was the topic of your speech, like a lot of good speakers as well, they are raging egomaniacs. They want attention on themselves, and they're good at it, right? So that's what you're trying to get to. Look at Andre. How long did Andre speak? For a 5 to 7 minutes speech, he went to 7 minutes and 29 seconds, just enough not to be disqualified. Kind of gives you a hint. There's obviously some good takeaways there in terms of how maybe you could use social media for your mission. The thing that I think you did very well was setting up your mission, was that this was you trying to do something more with yourself, to, you know, cliche, step outside the country, to your comfort zone. You managed to work the word audacious in there. And I was thinking, you said big audacious goal, and I think, oh, she should have said big hairy audacious goal, because that's like consultant speak. But maybe that's just encouraging you to use yet another cliche, which we didn't necessarily need. But I think you did a good job of talking about the fact that you not only wanted to step out, you wanted to create a presence, but you wanted to do it for a purpose. And I think what you brought the most passion to was talking about the purpose that you had identified. This social project of bringing some kind of benefit, bringing attention to police who've been injured in the line of duty, and how they, or I think you said specifically who had been shot in the line of duty. But that is certainly an audacious and wonderful goal, and a great thing to concentrate on. I'd like you to think about how you could maybe try and make sure that other people learn from your experience. What I got was more a speech about your goals than anything sort of dramatizing the effect you've had. And maybe that's because you haven't quite gotten to the effect that you want to have yet. But you're on your way. You know, you're with a bunch of people who can support you in different ways, and you gave a great speech. But maybe it could have been a little bit better. Back to you, Miss General Evaluator.
Thank you, David. Our next evaluator is Angela Heath, and Angela will be evaluating Calvin Dorsey's speech. Please help me welcome Angela Heath.
Madam General Evaluator and honored guests, and especially Calvin. Calvin, I loved your speech, The Fisherman, level 4. Your goal was to share an aspect of your coaching with us, and you did exactly that. You know, your speech it started off with this professional standing with the suit jacket. You came across as an authority when you began your speech. It was jam-packed with information. I mean, you told us about the goal method of storytelling and quotes from Dale Carnegie. You pulled out all the stops, and the content was supported by your presence, you know, by your vocal variety, by your movement and your gestures. They were excellent. You moved forward, you moved back, you used your hands. And I love the fact that you had the camera at an angle so that you could really use your hands as gesture, and it didn't look weird. It was excellent, excellent. Eye contact, the whole thing. If I can be audacious and give you 3 examples of something that you might want to consider to go from great to greater, it would be this. Number 1, I love the purpose, the process, and the payout, but I think if you explain that to us early on, that we would really capture the essence of this entire speech. I didn't know what the payout was until toward the end of the speech. Number 2, I'm not really sure what you were doing, but you bent down about 3 times. And I was expecting for you to bring up a prop. So I'm not sure what that bending was, but you may want to pay a little more attention to that. And then finally, Calvin, this is something that we both, you and I, we've got to work on. And that's the glare in our glasses. Now, what I've been told to do is to not move my head. So you see the glare when I move my head. I've been told to find a spot where there is no glare and to use my eyes. So I think those 3 audacious recommendations might add some additional flair to your presentation. That was excellent. You know, I'm ready to sign up and be a part of your coaching. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Angela. Our next evaluator is Roger Fung, and he will be evaluating Andrei Smolenko. Please help me welcome Roger Fung.
After a horrendous 2020, COVID, lockdown, many business owners are thinking about survival in 2021. But what if I tell you that I can help you bring back all of those customers? In fact, what if I tell you 2021 can be the biggest year you ever had in your business? Audacious enough? Andre, you are a solid speaker. You have the foundational pieces, the ingredient for all of a great speech. You were clear, you have great vocal variety, you work your slides in very smoothly, back and forth without any kind of hiccup. I can see everything that was on the slide. I like the careful sharing of those images that you have in Facebook groups. You definitely demonstrated your expertise in this topic. There are 2 things I like to share with you to, I believe, make your speech even better. 1 suggestion and 1 challenge. Suggestion is to give bigger contrast. why should I have a Facebook group? Why can't I just go ahead and send postcards and go around, put Post-it note on different people's cars? You want to do a contrast in terms of cost, in terms of effectiveness, as I have tried to demonstrate in the beginning of my speech. Make it dramatic, make it a bigger contrast. That's a suggestion. But the bigger challenge I have for you is to flip your speech just a bit. Flip it upside down, because what you demonstrate in those 5 to 7 minutes is what's in it for you. What are you good at based on your experience in Facebook groups? What's in it for me? As an audience, why should I listen to those 5 to 7 minutes? You have the ingredient, you have the expertise. Now, if you can flip it, for example, you first started in the beginning, you have a clear introduction in terms of what you're going to tell us in those 5 to 7 minutes. But that's what you are going to do to tell us. That's about you, not really about me. If you can flip it in terms of what you can share with me in the next 5 to 7 minutes that will make a benefit for my business, for my group, for my nonprofit, now you've got me. So you have the ingredient already. You have the skill set. Now flip the point of view and think, what is it in me, the audience? Then you can attract me better with all of those things that you have definitely shared in terms of your experience in creating those groups, the demonstration and showing a live screenshot of what you have created, maybe even giving us some results going from 0 to where you are today. So in conclusion, you're already good at doing all these things that we've been learning in Toastmasters. I hope that my suggestion and challenge would make you become more persuasive in your speeches by making a bigger contrast and flipping it to what's in it for the audience. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Roger. And now could I ask our timer, who I think is Graham Cairns, if all our evaluators made time for the best evaluator contest? And I
With
see
3 seconds to spare, all 3 evaluators are eligible for voting tonight.
Thank you all, our 3 evaluators. They were excellent evaluations. If you'll please send your vote to our vote counter, Deborah Carr, for best evaluator, David, Angela, or Roger. I'm now going to ask our functionary helpers to give their reports for the evening. Our first is grammarian Li-Sang Zhu. Li-Sang, would you take it away, please?
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. For today, the first priority is to pay attention to the usage of our word of the day, audacious. And I found all our speakers have used audacious at least once. In our table topic speakers, for some reason, I just heard Elaine use it and Soya Vagana use it, and then Nick, Andy, Jim, and Christian maybe use it, but I just didn't spot it. Maybe my attention just drifted away. So I would like to give you gentlemen a benefit of doubt and you use it. And for our evaluators, I found they actually use it quite frequently than anybody else. David Carr used 3 times, Angela used twice, and Roger Feng used once. Some of the highlights in our use of words, there are a lot, but I just give some examples. I like Calvin use the fisherman quote from Confucius, which brought me back to China. And also, let's say Roger Feng used flip upside down. I think that's kind of very vivid. And another thing I want to emphasize is the simplicity of the language usage. And really, I didn't hear a lot of big words or complicated words. But when all those words put together is very, very effective for today's speech from everyone. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Li-Sang. Our next functionary report that we'd like to call on is from Jeanette Francois. Could you please give us your watchers report?
Yes, Madam General Evaluator. There's no doubt that every one of us look great on the screen, but there's a moment that really captured my attention. It was during the table topics. You all look so concentrated, you look so concerned, you look so aware, so attentive to the table topics. And it seems like it was a moment of sharing, and that I can really capture on the screen when I was looking at all of you. And for that, I give a big round of applause to our table topics master, because she was able to give us great table topics that really make all of us look great today on the screen. Thank you. Back to you, Mrs. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Jeanette. Our third functionary report I'd like to call on is our counter, Antoinette Trim. Antoinette, can you take it away, please?
Sure. Thank you, General Evaluator. I'm pleased to announce that none of the speakers used filler words in excess of 3 times. However, for the table topics, we have Sonia. She used filler words like and so on 7 times. And Christian also used some filler words 6 times. For the evaluators, only David used about 4 times, and that's about it. All in all, it was a good meeting without many filler words. Back to you, Elaine.
Thank you very much, Antoinette. Our next functionary is the chat monitor, Mahfazur Rahman. Would you please give your report?
Madam General Evaluator, so I'd like to take it to 3 phases: before the meeting, during the meeting, and during the table topic. The chat was on fire before the speakers. So absolutely, we celebrated a birthday, and I like all of you to go and put out the chat again for the 2 birthday celebrities. So again, happy birthday. Absolutely, we respected when the speakers were talking. Nobody put out the chat out there. But then who wins? It is no other than Elaine. And I will save that for the next meeting. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Mahfazur. At this time, it is time for my report. I have to keep looking at my list to see what to do next. Briefly for my report, we've had a wonderful meeting. We started off with a wonderful theme, which I do not recall having exactly this theme before ever. I've been in Toastmasters 3 years. I love a new theme. We had a tremendous word of the day, and we know this because so many people used it in the chat and in the speeches, in the evaluations, and in the table topics. So thank you, Sarah Gao, for picking those. Tremendous theme and word of the day. One thing I am finding very interesting is our club is now getting more comfortable moving away from the cameras. For our 3 speeches, we had speakers that we could see from the elbows up. So we're moving a little way, farther away from the camera so we can do more gestures. It's something I'm not quite comfortable with yet. So my face is still right up against the camera, but this is something to look out for. We also are getting more comfortable with very interesting backgrounds. And I think it's well worth it to take a look at yourself on the replay and see if your background is adding to your message, or detracting from it. And the same with how close you are to the camera. I think I should move back so you can see my elbows, see my gestures more freely. And then I wanted to say we had some, in addition to fine speeches, fine table topics, we had really excellent evaluations. What do you do when a distinguished Toastmaster or an experienced, fabulous speaker speaks? I've had people lean next to me at a brick and mortar club and say, Emily, I didn't see anything wrong with that speech. What am I going to say? And we have experienced evaluators who know how to bring out the very best in people and push people to the very next level, saying, have you considered this? Have you considered that? And we're not at the point of telling people what to do, but these are just suggestions that they can think about. And I was amazed after those speeches. I didn't know what people could possibly say in their evaluations. And I really thought those evaluations were very excellent. At this time, that is the end of my unprepared remarks. And I am going to turn the meeting over to our president.
Thank you very much to Emily, General Evaluator, and for Sarah, Toastmaster of the Day. Well done, both of you. I love the fact that we're on schedule. Brilliant. What I'd like to do, I call on a couple of officers or a couple of announcements. First of all, David Carr, Mr. Treasurer, what have you got to say for yourself and how many people have signed up in the last hour?
Several, but not enough. So I want you to find your way to the Renew button on our menu over here and the Payment button over here and pay up and help keep this club healthy and growing. Don't make me hunt you down. Renew today. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you. Our next announcements are for the educational team, and we have a couple. First of all, 15th of February, that's 2 weeks today, is a mini speechathon, and we're going to have 6 speakers. That's why we will overrun by 4 minutes. I'm not sure I cleared that, Christian, but anyway, we'll talk about it afterward. But why is that speechathon on the 15th? Because on the 22nd, we have a panel discussion on club coaching, moderated by Lucas Calafel. Also, we have a workshop on Saturday, 27th of February, with Fersi Gotukau, and Fersi came in the top 10 of the World Championship of Public Speaking last August. Also, he featured in our wonderful VTM conference in December as well. Well worth a watch. So look out for that. Go and find the time. Sign up for that. Not only members, but guests are welcome as well. And in terms of the education team, they will be available for 15 minutes after the end of this meeting in a breakout room where you can actually go and have a chat with them about anything to do with Toastmasters education. Thank you very much for that, Christian and Lucas. Now, I'd just like to say hello to a couple of guests. First of all, Kim.
Winners.
Oh,
Do you have the winners?
I'm sorry. Yeah, no problem. Let's go to our vote counter, Deborah Carr.
That's me. Best table topics. Do we have a drum roll? Jim Barber. Congratulations, Jim. And the best evaluator, here we go again, Roger Fung. And our best speaker tonight is Andre. Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you very much, Deborah. Thank you for reminding me. I'd just like to call on a couple of guests. As you can see, the breakout rooms will be opening up shortly, and you can move in a couple of minutes. Let's just say hello to Kim. Kim, just what's your takeaway from today?
Hi, everybody. So this, again, was my second time, and my takeaway is that you guys are super fun, very encouraging, and your level of speaking is really impressive, but at the same time, you guys are also welcoming. So I love it. I'm learning just from these 2 times. I feel like I learned a lot. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kim. Now, let's have a quick word with Purnima. What's your takeaway for today? Please unmute yourself. There you go.
I truly enjoyed the meeting. You guys have a lot of energy. Enjoyed the table topics, especially it is such a diverse one. And also it was very nice to see people from all over the world, because you will not only learn how to speak better, but you will also learn from different cultures. So I think I really enjoyed the meeting today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Purnima. Thank you. Now, Razmi, I'm going to come to you in just 1 minute, okay? It's 9 o'clock Eastern. We always start on time. We always finish on time. So I officially close this meeting. Thank you very much. and stay online and have a chat